All right, let's see how we can use Desmos to help us with these types of problems. We go to desmos.com/calculator. And our problem, it says the population is oscillating above and below an average of 93. So oscillation tells me that we can use a sine function to model this. So let's look at a basic sine. It's a general form of a sine function. Okay, I'm going to take a times the sine. A is the amplitude. And then we have 2 pi over p, where p is the period. So the period is the amount of time it takes to finish a complete cycle. In this case, we're counting by months. So p will be in months. Then we have x and then minus h. H is going to be the horizontal, basically the phase shift or the horizontal shift. All right. And then finally, we have a c, which is the vertical shift. Okay. Sometimes I call that the midline. All right. And it said sliders. You hit sliders for all. So this means we can adjust these things and see what happens when we adjust them. Okay. So basically, we just have to set these 4 parameters for our particular case. Okay. First thing I want to do is look at the midline. Okay. So half of the population, half the time, let's say, is population is above 93. Half the time it's below 93. So I'm going to just draw that line, y equals 93. It's a horizontal line. Okay. And you notice that we don't get, I'll change the color maybe. Okay, anyway, it's fine. Let's put it here. Okay. So you need to do some adjusting here. You go to graph settings, okay? And we need to get 93 on the screen. So we can start the y-axis, let's say from 85. We want to include 93, right? To let's say 105. Okay, so there we see we have our line of y equals 93. Okay, so that means the vertical shift is 93. It's up 93. So we're going to change the c to 93. You notice that we're only going from -10 to +10, so we need to change that. And we can do again, so 85 to 105. All right, just enter that. And this allows us to shift our sine function. So we set it at 93. You see that the line y equals 93 is right in the center. Okay, so our c is set. Next, let's look at the amplitude. Okay, so it says that the maximum is 17 above the average and the minimum is 17 below the average. That is the amplitude. Okay, the amplitude is the distance from the center to the max. Okay, again, we're going to have to change our scale a bit here. Let's go from 10 to 20. All right, and we'll set that to 17. Now, that's not looking so great. There's 17. We need to stretch this scale out more, right? Because it's 17. So let's go from, let's say, 60 to 120. Okay, that fits everything on the scale. So you got to play around with these things. It takes a little practice. Next, we're going to look at the period. Okay, so the period is the number of months to finish a cycle, and that should be clear that it's 12. We can just make it equal to 12. All right, we're almost there now. The last thing it says is that the minimum population is hit at January 1st, okay? So we need to shift this over. We need to shift it to the right. Okay, how much do we need to shift it? Well, it's actually exactly a quarter of the cycle, right? From here to here, this is a quarter of a cycle, okay? So a quarter of 12 months is 3 months. So if we shift it over 3, should be right on the minimum there. And there you have it. There's your sine function. All the parameters are now set. You have A, 17, P is 12, H is 3, C is 93. All right. So Desmos is a great tool for these things. Practice with it. Change, you have to be aware of the graph settings here. But if you work with this, you should get to know how these trig functions work, how the parameters change the function. All right. Hope that was helpful.